Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going back to the best distillery in Taiwan. Maybe in the Far East, Dustin. Kavalan.
Maybe in the world.
Maybe in the world. Kavalan, this time ex-bourbon. Dustin, we splurged on a bunch of Kavalans, me, you, and my coworker Adam. We got sherried ones, we got bourbon ones.
Wine cask.
Yeah, we really... we got ones that are 750 ml. We got ones that Adam got one that was a liter. Adam bought
color
bourbon cask and liters. And the scroll.
I love the scroll. I never even open them because there's nothing on them to tell.
I don't think I can tie it as well as they tie it. Isn't that a beautiful bow?
It is. What you do is you slide it out of there and then you slide it back in so you don't actually untie the bow.
My hands are way too big, and I break everything that's fragile, so I'm not doing that, Dustin.
A couple years, your daughter will be old enough to do it. Put her to work.
All right, Dustin. This ex-bourbon this is roughly 6.5 years old, 53.2% ABV. There's metals on it, but I don't know if it's this particular bottle. Who knows? As always, I will put the cask number in the description because that's how we're going to roll with the Kavalan these days. But the cask number for you folks, if you're counting at home, is B as in boy, 150622013. A as in apple.
It's a lot.
Look at the color of that bourbon cask.
That color's incredible. Oh. That is crazy.
Natural color, unchill filtered, cask strength.
Jeez.
Dustin, I got a tip. Give a tip of the hat to you, my friend. When I got into Kavalan, and as soon as I went into Kavalan, I went hard. Mm-hmm. You made, and we had a whiskey review, and you're like, "And the bourbon ones are good." I'm like, "What do you mean the bourbon ones aren't good?" And you're like, "No, the bourbon ones are incredible." I'm like, "Seriously?" So then I had to try a few of the bourbon ones because they did sherry whiskey unpeated sherry whiskey better than anybody. And I was like, "The bourbon ones are good?" Like, you got to be kidding me.
You definitely gave me the skeptical look like, really?
Yep. And then again, I just dove into it. Mm-hmm. And you could not have been more right. That's why you listen to everybody's opinion. You don't know everything. No one does, Dustin.
It's true.
No one does. I'm going to go heavy on this.
I mean, heck, the first time I ever came here, Mike, I brought 2 Kavalans. And I remember, you bringing out, here's about 20. Moscatel was here, was I can't remember the other one.
Manzanillo.
Probably Manzanillo, you're right.
But yeah, I remember tasting that Moscow for something. I was like, you know what? That might be the best whiskey we tasted tonight. And I was, first time I had you over my house, I brought my best. Everything was 21, 25 years old.
Mike's like, I'm going to show this guy.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. I was trying to flex. I was like, son of a bitch, I got work to my own house. All right.
That was the night Mike tried to talk trash about King of Kentucky. Like, how did this make it to this list? And then he tried it and went, oh.
I was humbled on many fronts that night. You brought the 2 best whiskeys.
It was a good night.
Short Barrel 2019 King of Kentucky and Kavalan Moscatel. Cask strength, bangers. I'm rolling out 25-year-old Lefroy's and 25-year-old Boona Havens.
I think you brought out some good stuff. Don't get me wrong.
We took a picture. We had to go back to it. All right. Kavalan, one of the nicest, sweetest malts in whiskey making. Every time they do a bourbon cask, it comes off to me like a cask strength Macallan 21. If Macallan 21 was better.
It's an incredibly rich, heavy, fruity malt. This one, though, I'll tell you what, Mike, just on the first impression, this is the most bourbon-like I've nosed on any Kavalan. This really smells like a bourbon.
Oh. Yeah, the oak note is very just bourbon warehouse almost.
Yeah,
like it's so
I'm getting dusty, kind of like peanut shell kind of stuff going on
Absolutely.
here, even, which is crazy.
Absolutely. To go along with what you would expect from this, from ex-bourbon Kavalan's tropical fruit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I compared it to Macallan 21. Now, the oak note is kind of dirty because this is a little bit older of one, 6.5 years. Just a side note.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's a sweet spot, if you're not a huge oak person for Kavalan, whether it's sherry or bourbon, is around 5 years old.
4.5, yeah.
4.5, 5, around 5.
Yeah.
Every time the deeper you get, the more of a chance you're going to take with heavy oak.
At 6, it's pretty heavy. Usually. 6.5 is it's getting, yeah.
And this is heavy oak.
Yeah.
The Whiskey World exclusive that we bought 3.2 million of, 10 years old.
Oh, yeah, that's
filthy heavy oak.
Yeah, this really does give 18-year-old bourbon notes. Like Elijah Craig 18.
It smells
Knob
like
Creek 18.
It smells like
really
old dusty peanut bourbon.
Yeah.
But
you're right. There's a tropical fruit at the end there. It's crazy.
No, tropical fruit is very typical from these bottles.
Yeah. But it's crazy because I'm smelling 18-year-old bourbon, and then I'm getting tropical fruit. Normally I get orchard fruits on bourbons. It's tropical fruit. It's weird.
But I love both of them. Both of them go together so well. Now the bourbon note seems a little dirtier than the tropical fruit notes, and it seems darker.
Dude, we need to get Jason over here, Mash and Drum, and have him try this. We might even need to do another video with him.
Yeah. This is something.
We need him nosing this next to like some bourbons and see if he even notices
I told you,
it's not a bourbon.
I told you I was up with my nephew a month or so ago. I was like, you're going to like this. But again, what don't we like? This is Solist.
I mean, I literally want to crack a bourbon and smell it next to this. This is so incredibly bourbon-like. I feel like I have to be wrong. Like it's one of those like, no, once I put it next to bourbon, it won't. But
it's going to dominate it, just like it dominates Speyside Sherry for the Sherry Cask release.
We might have to pour some of that Lucky 7 later and compare.
Yeah, we could absolutely do that. That's going to come off oakier. This is more sweet and candy. There isn't in the sweet,
But that was awfully cherried too, man. So
it was a little darker. Oh man, this is sweet on 2 levels. From the bourbon-esque notes, it's sweet. Where do you think they got these casks from?
I'm guessing Jim Beam, to be honest with you.
I mean, I would put money. This comes off so Jim Beam. You know that car you got? That was Jim Beam, right? The collector card that we put in the canner?
Yeah, it's Beam.
A richer version of it?
Yeah, I kid you not, guys. I literally was in my head thinking of Hardin's Creek when I was nosing this.
If you gave this to me blind, I might have called it a bourbon.
I would have.
Without tasting it.
I would have said it's Hardin's Creek. Like, I'm telling you, Hardin's Creek or Knob Creek 18. But it's not citrusy enough for that.
That's why, as I said at the beginning of the video, we're just going to start putting cask numbers on there because they're enough different to where there's no blanket or just stroke that you can paint the whole thing with. It doesn't matter if it's cherry cask. It doesn't matter if it's bourbon cask. All of them are distinctly different. And if you're not drinking this one, just like I said with our last Kavalan review, we did the sherry one I had. We do both of our sherries back to back. If you're not drinking this exact one, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
This is true. You know, one thing I will say, guys. So it's very clear, Mike, we have developed quite the Asian fandom based on our constant reviews of these Kavalans.
And our analytics.
Yeah, and one thing I've really appreciated a lot is we've had a ton of you guys come in, sometimes 6 months, a year, 3 years later, and you'll comment on our videos. And you guys have a wealth of knowledge. You've been at the distillery. So if anybody knows for sure where they're sourcing their bourbon casks.
Love to know.
And does anything, or do these numbers help you figure it out? I don't know, but I would absolutely love to know, guys, because this really does smell like a Jim Beam.
Buddy, if you tell me they got these casks from somebody, because
Heaven Hill is a possibility. It's one of the two. It's no one else. No one else smells like this.
So sometimes with Balvenie on some of their bottlings, I'll smell Maker's Mark.
Lafroig too.
Correct. So I don't know, but I'll put money. That's where they're getting those barrels.
I know Lafroig actually does source Maker's Mark.
Oh, does it?
I know for a fact.
Yeah. I think Balvenie does too. Glenfiddich does as well.
Wouldn't shock me on either of those, but I know for a fact that Lafroig does.
Yeah. Dude.
The caramel note, even, God, it's got apples coming through now a little bit, which is, again, a Jim Beam, like, caramel apple note.
But a light, bright caramel apple.
But then on the finish, you're right, there's a tropical fruit note. Oh, my God. I gotta taste this, because I'm just like, if it doesn't taste like Jim Beam, I'm going to be, like, lost.
Give it to me, Dustin. I knew you'd like it. Oh, so good. My coworker Adam, he is one that's kind of down. He was going to give me that for us to review, but he bought the one that was a liter. It was a different cask maturation.
Yeah.
But that's why we saw that website. Like, we all get different bottles.
Oh, absolutely.
We know we'll share with each other, and they could not be more different.
By the way, they have a new set of casks out there right now at similar prices.
I looked Thursday.
There's a port I really want to get.
Yeah.
Okay. Kavalan comes through a little more on the palate, but it is still very beamy. But it's not as dirty a beam. It's a cleaner because, again, the Kavalan malt's way cleaner. But I'm getting that rich vanilla Kavalan note. And Kavalan's malt is a different bourbon note than bourbon is. It's sweeter and candied, more candied. It's more malty. But I'm getting that dusty caramel thing coming on from the bourbon cask, but it's cleaner. It's a lot cleaner on the palate.
It is.
It's really good.
You're right. At first, it's all fruit, and it's what you normally think from a ex-bourbon only Kavalan. As soon as you swallow, it's a rich, dusty bourbon. Wow. I think we got to share this with Mash and Drum and Adam. Wow. I've never had those two things together.
I want to put this blind with other bourbons and see if they actually can figure out if this isn't a bourbon. Because even though it's got plenty of Kavalan's, fingerprints on it, it really drinks like a bourbon.
The sweetness of the Kavalan malt,
wow, this is so good,
is obvious that because I know it's a Kavalan. Mm-hmm. Kavalan has a very steady, clean, straightforward sweetness.
Mm-hmm. It has that crazy Kavalan vanilla, which is coming through just.
But it's clean and straightforward.
It's clean, straightforward, but it's so rich and decadent.
And the finish is a mix of the two.
It is.
I mean,
it's white fruits, vanilla,
white peach.
You know that?
Yes. Yeah, it's rare I get that. Balvenie 21.
Or in 16 you get the little peach on?
Oh, but this is a different peach. I said white peach.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that 116 you definitely get a peach, a normal peach. Oh, Dustin.
Let me get a little more water in here. I'm trying to tease out the Kavalan from the bourbon with the water, and we'll see if I might overdo it, but I just want to try.
Just when you think Kavalan can't take you somewhere that you didn't expect to go.
We've got to get a virgin oak cask.
Absolutely.
I have wanted one. I haven't seen one that I could pick up easily.
Okay, so for those of you who are Kavalan fans, again, we said 5 years is kind of their sweet spot for what they normally do in their kind of distillery characteristic. But if you're going to go 6, 8, 10 years, I don't know about the virgin oak, but with ex-sherry, regardless of what the sherry is, and
they've done some like 14-year ones of that.
For the virgin oak, you're absolutely black. Right. And I had one. Your eyes are so dark. And so rich. They taste like sherry. We didn't even do one.
Your buddy up in Canada sent you a sample of that, right?
Yes, that's right. I mean, you know, this sherry, listen, like virgin oak bourbon, like, never would have guessed it. But, okay, getting back to the point. When they're over 5 years, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to be oaky.
Yeah.
But, man, they're so interesting. And they're so different, Dustin. That Blackwell Ink one I got, the sherry one, I think that's like 6 years old or something. I've never really had that exact type of sherry before. Yeah. I've never had this experience before.
No, I mean, think about the peated cask one we had. I mean, that was just a whole, didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense.
It's just like, I didn't know whiskey did this. Okay.
Yeah, it's different and it's really well done.
They have the greatest barrel buyers. I'm telling you, they get the best barrels. Or they know which ones. Now, we never really review any of their entry-level stuff.
That was my first Kavalan. It's whiskey.
I know you did that.
Master Malt did like the 40%. I was like, what's the why is everyone so excited about this? But again, I don't know why I ever did that. It was just like the spring bangs, started with the 10. Here's the thing, though.
Mike starts with the worst whiskey. If somebody has it, he goes, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
And then he bring them back, and he's like, oh, I guess I started a little too low.
Yeah. Getting back to the original point, when it's over 6 years old, those casks, probably because of the climate, are just going to start dancing in a different direction. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what you're going to get, but it's going to be pungent, strong, and to some degree over the top, and in some cases stunning. This is as over the top as that the real dark sherry, the one that I had that we did not long ago, that was just black coffee, but it was not as good of a whiskey. This is another gem.
This is, so I added a ton of water here, Mike, and I apologize, I just jumped right into nosing and tasting because I had to see what the two did, like, together. But I brought enough water in here to really tease out the bourbon and let the Kavalan malt come through.
It smells like all bourbon, guys, now, with water.
Well, I put enough water in there where I got it to where it's actually 50-50 Kavalan. I went in back in for their capsule. Yep. And it really brings out that it's incredible what they've done here because they have harmonized the bourbon cask and this Kavalan malt in a way that this is a bourbon drinker's malt. Anybody who says they don't like malt, Trev Wilson, if you watch this video, which I know you won't, let us know. I want to get you a sample of this, Mike. We'll get Trev Wilson, the wrench, the guy who claims he hates malt. This would change his mind. Oh, my God.
This is the Kavalan malt. I mean, 99% of the time, the guy would be right.
Hey, if you don't like malt, you don't like malt until you try this Kavalan malt with this.
Because Kavalan malt is the sweetness that goes along with it.
It's very
complements every other sweetness the cask can possibly give it.
Yeah, it's a chameleon.
It's a middle-of-the-road sweetness that doesn't overpower and it complements.
And yet it's not weak. It's not lacking. It's actually an intense sweetness. It's crazy. It's like it's so malleable, and yet it is intense.
I thought you'd like this.
Oh, man, yeah.
That's why
I was. It's just so not what I was expecting. I cannot believe I feel like I'm drinking a Jim Beam with Kavalan on the finish. It's so weird.
So I told you I opened this up a couple weeks ago with my nephew, and I was like, I think you're gonna like it, and we'll review that next. I couldn't wait for you to taste this one, man. I tried to downplay it as much as I can.
I was waiting for you to like. I was kind of waiting for you to like. When I said Jim Beam, I was waiting for you like. Oh, and I was thinking it was like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof or something, and I was like, because I was thinking that could be. But I was like,
peanuts on the floor everywhere, man. Peanut shell everywhere.
Well, you downplayed the peanut comment I made initially too, so I was like. Maybe he's not getting as much as I am because I'm really hinting it's Beam. But when you were like, no, it's Beam, I'm like, all right.
God, so good.
We've done some good Beams lately.
Man, with water, the Beam peanut note is almost turning gasoline. Gasoline peanut.
Which Beam will do sometimes.
There's nothing about this whiskey that isn't impressive, Dustin.
Oh, it's even got a good spiciness on it, too.
You're right. I completely ignored it.
Like the finish has got a nice spice bite. Oh my goodness. What a treat. What a surprise.
Again, man, if you are a fan of oak and strong flavors.
Tropical fruit now is coming back again right now. I'm sorry.
But the tropical fruit, where it's a dominant note a lot of times in these ex-bourbons, it's a complement to a bourbon.
It just shows up. It's like you're sitting here enjoying your bourbon, all of a sudden, tropical fruit. Chilling for another minute, tropical fruit.
It's an introvert. Introverted tropical fruit.
Dude, it just shows up randomly.
Oh, what a good whiskey. All right, Justin.
Excellent.
Glad you liked it.
Excellent.
What I'll say is if you like oak and strong flavors and interesting whiskey, get Kavalan Solus that are 6 years plus.
Yeah. Wow.
I've never had one that was like, oh, this is not pleasant for me.
No.
I liked them all.
No, I've never had a bad one. They range from very good to Jesus Christ to holy crap, this is probably not the way whiskey's supposed to taste, but I don't care. I like it.
Dustin, you go first. My bottle. And I got talked in this bottle because Adam picked first and he went the leader. And then you got something like, I'll take this one. I took the.
It's a great price on it too. So.
I took the scraps for the sherry one and the bourbon one, and both of mine were epic.
Excellent, yeah. So, first time tonight I'm giving this the higher of my two scores, Mike, and I feel crazy going this high, but we're doing it. I'm giving this a 90. This is what whiskey's supposed to be, man. Like, this is great. It's fun. It's exciting. It has wow factor. It's a little spicier, rougher around the edges than maybe it needs to be. Especially at the 53. It's actually kind of hot for what that is. But I don't care.
It's spicy and oaky.
I don't care. This is absolutely, especially as a guy who loves bourbon and malt, this is like, they found a way to make a hybrid that's just incredible. But again, this is 80-90% bourbon. 10% malt in like the way it actually presents, which is crazy. What do you got, buddy?
It's a great old dusty bourbon mixed with cash strength Macallan 21. So Dustin, when I first opened this, I was like 89, but I too am going with a higher score.
Did you really? Oh, 91! Wow.
What about this wasn't just an incredible experience?
Again,
did it handle water?
Beautifully.
Did it have a good nose? Did it have a 90 nose, a 90 palate, and a 90 finish? I'm getting a little mint now on the end.
It's epic. Again, we're drinking more of this later on because I am going to compare this to an actual bourbon because I have to.
There was nothing about this buy that wasn't impressive.
It is.
The color is impressive. The price was, what did I pay for this, $90?
It was like 85 euros.
This might be the best whiskey purchase I've made in a year.
I think it was about 120 all in.
With shipping?
Yeah. And me paying a credit card fee. You had to eat because I bought it.
Yeah, you need to get those World MasterCards.
I know you get one of those World
Or I
cards,
need to
right?
start buying them. Dustin.
Either works.
I was so happy with both these Kavalans. They continue to deliver me not only quality, but above expectation.
Yeah.
As someone who's been in sales my whole life, something I never want to do is overpromise and underdeliver.
That's number one thing you're always told in just any job.
Just behavior in general.
When you're in a meeting and somebody says, "Hey, can you get that done?" Every time I've walked out of there and I've said something that I couldn't deliver, my boss has pulled me aside and been like, "Dustin, you better over-deliver." Because he goes, "You were a little too aggressive there."
Nope.
And that is why I don't sleep some nights.
Yeah, this distillery from price to ABV to experience always exceeds my expectation. I keep being impressed. I mean, Dustin, we were on a site and we were just randomly picking bottles and we just made the decision. There's 3 of us. Let's get 7 different bottles. Sherry, bourbon, let's dance it. Let's mix it up.
Buy them all.
How many distilleries can you do that with?
These days, none.
None. Not Ardbeg, not Lagavulin, not Highland Park, not Macallan, not...
Well, you can't get reasonable prices. You can't.
Correct.
Also, single barrels, like...
In cask strength, unchill filtered.
It's gotten to where you can't find single barrels with anybody in any kind of quantity.
The creator needs to save this distillery and the people running it. It is just magic.
Yeah, I feel almost bad hyping these guys up because I feel like we're eventually gonna regret it. But you know what? The whiskey boom's starting to die a little bit. I've got a feeling we're gonna see
Regret
more.
what? Paying $85 or $120 in 2025 for a cask strength.
I'm scared it's gonna go away. That's my fear.
Yeah,
I don't want us all paying U.S. prices because you know what the U.S. prices were on these things. Rough.
Yeah, it doesn't. I remember when we had the Whiskey World exclusive. And I remember we ordered it, we were amazed, we kept ordering, and we refused to do a whiskey review on it for a year and a half until it sold out, right?
Add another year.
Maybe that. I asked you at one point, is this the greatest cask strength sherry whiskey 10-year-old I've ever tasted in my life? Or am I just missing something here? Like, have we been fooled? Yeah. Like, is this some type of trick? Because with sherry whiskeys you can be. I remember like the first time I got Devil's Cask, we were like, oh, this is great. But
I don't know that I've ever paid. I've never bought a case of a whiskey before that any other whiskey. I've never bought a case.
Correct.
I did it twice with that one.
If it's a soloist, I have such confidence that it's going to be a good experience.
Yeah.
And it's always reasonable. Always.
Yeah, if you can buy them from anywhere except the U.S., they're a great price.
A great price.
The U.S. retail is unfortunately ridiculous. But we've been able to find these on sale because they price them so ridiculous here in the States that I've gotten great prices here in America, too.
Before shipping, after conversion rates and fees, I paid less than $100 for this.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
We need to buy more. We keep saying it. It's like, why do we buy anything with these bottles?
Correct.
Sometimes it's like...
When I make whiskey person, like I can do this or I can do this, or I can buy 4 Kavalans.
Yeah.
They're all single cask, they'll be different experience to some degree.
That's the other thing I'm noticing is like the variance is so great, and yet it's different versions of great. It's like why don't I have another Moscatel? I still look back and I'm like, why haven't I picked one up? I know I keep seeing them, and I can afford to get one.
Some type of nectar ambrosia, like they have the greatest spot possible to age whiskey for some reason, wherever they are. And on top of that,
I bet you they paid the money for the stills, they paid the money for the right casks. Like
right.
They're just doing it right.
Well, like their GDP compared to China's, forget it. It's really high. It's like it's
per capita, you mean?
I think in general, like the money.
Well, China's number 2 in GDP.
What am I saying wrong here? The
per
exports
capita
or something like that. I don't know. You know, I think it was GDP. We need to look at it.
Whatever.
My point is they produce products.
Yeah.
That people buy.
You know, I actually wonder
for a reasonable price.
I'd love to know if the master distiller is his English good enough to have a conversation with us. I'd love to get on and do a live stream and talk. You know,
we've been saying for years how much we like this distillery.
Like this is Springbank, Lagavulin, and Kavalan are like the 3 distilleries I think we are the most in love with. If you look at what we've done,
absolutely. I mean, maybe you could consider Highland Park and Talisker.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But they're a shadow.
We still don't do nearly as many bottles from those guys.
Well, here's the thing: in the modern day, there's only one I trust.
Yeah.
Well, I trust Springbank.
Yeah.
I trust Springbank, but
Lagavulin's been slacking.
Oh, big time. Their best days are
And these
behind
guys are killing it.
just up, going up.
Yeah.
Just going straight up. Oh.
Yeah, right now, 2024, 25 era, Kavalan and Springbank are definitely two distilleries still doing really well.
I know
A lot of our favorite distilleries have.
You gotta call it what it
Not
is.
so good.
Gotta call it what it is.
Yeah.
I know we sound like fanboys right now because we are fanboys, but we just are trying to drill home how impressive this distillery is, how affordable their whiskeys are. It has nothing to do with affordability. We'll spend money on whiskey.
We have.
We have thousands on a bottle.
We've spent a lot of money on some of the Kavalans. Some of our Kavalans were $300-$400.
At max.
Yeah.
And they were $600, $700, $800 experiences.
Absolutely.
I had someone willing to trade me for one of those whiskey world things. I can't remember what it was. Oh, Macallan Cask Strength.
Oh, yeah.
NAS one.
Those are very comparable whiskeys, too.
We compared them out, but again, I was like,
I like the Kavalan better.
I can't get none of those whiskey worlds exclusive. You ain't getting that from me. You'd have to give me over $1,000 for one of them. I bought them for $130.
Yeah.
But that's the type of value. If you like cask strength, rich, bold, full-bodied whiskeys, how many times we gotta say it?
Yeah. This is just, I mean, again, this is just epic. I mean, seriously.
And I'm not talking money. It has nothing to do with it. I am talking purely experience in the whiskey.
All right, Mike, I'm out of here.
It's that good. It's that good. All right, folks. We've gone on too long. This one's an absolute stunner. I didn't say anything to Dustin, but I'm glad you got to experience it for yourself. I didn't want to overhype it and be like, this is the greatest movie ever, and it's not. All right, so...
that was not what I was expecting. I was like, whoa, hello.
Yeah, 90-91, so a 90.5. If you guys want to do a mix of the two, absolute banger. I'll put it in the description one more time. I'll say it, if you're still here. Who's definitely here?
DJ Beacon is still watching.
DJ Beacon's still walking. You're my guy. DJ.
He's going to have a comment on like something we said in the last like 30 seconds just to be like, yes, I did watch all of it.
Yes. One more time. B as in boy. 150622013. A is an L. Starts with a B, ends with an A. That has nothing to do with anything. Dustin, I would love for anybody to have this bottle. There's only 172 bottles. We got bottle 160. These are 700 mLs. Until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy Taiwanese drinking.
Bang.
Thanks, Kavalan.